Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That is Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. Eric, this is a very special episode of Strange Eons Radio. You want to tell us what's going on?
My father-in-law, who I don't know if he's come up on the show before, but everybody who knows him adores him.
Mm-hmm.
He's was in a tricycle accident.
Oh my gosh.
He got one of those big adult-sized tricycles for riding around because he's in his early 80s.
Yeah.
And he fell off of it.
Yeah.
So he's currently in the ICU. At this point, he's improving and doing better. I'm mentioning it just because I wanted everybody to know if you hear an Amityville back-to-back episodes or something weird happens, you'll understand why. But at this point, I don't anticipate that being necessary because things are moving along as well, better than expected in a lot of ways. So hopefully I'll spend less time in the hospital and be watching more movies again. But Dina knows how important this show is to me and how important you listeners are to me. So she wanted to make sure that I was still able to do this. And she wanted to if you want to send any positive thoughts or love this way, feel free. I'll pass those words on to her, hearing things from this staggering amount of people that adore him has been pretty good for her, and she really appreciates it.
And I don't know if, our listeners know, but he's a huge part of our show as well.
Yes.
He does a lot of the behind the scenes work for us. I get tax forms from him every year.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I've been doing our taxes, Kelly, and my taxes for 10 years or more?
Yeah, you better tell Dina. She better learn how to do this stuff.
That's right, yes.
April's a coming. Oh.
Well, yeah, we love Marth. I love Marth very much. He has helped me in my life many times, and he is 1/4 owner of the LLC that owns Strange Eons Radio. So,
yeah.
Feel better, Marth. Can't wait to sit and have a steak with you again soon.
There you go. On to fun stuff now?
Yeah, or maybe.
Or maybe the destruction of movies by Warner Brothers or something else.
Well,
oh God.
Did you guys see that Alex Cox is making a sequel to Repo Man?
Oh,
No.
yes. I pretty much just literally saw a headline about it. I haven't read anything yet.
Yeah.
Well, Harry Dean Stanton has passed, so he's not going to be in it. Emilio Estevez literally passed on the project, so he's not going to be in it. And I thought, well, if he were like the Harry Dean Stanton role in this, that could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But no, it is a completely new group of repo men in Los Angeles, and I was just infuriated by the amount of people who were going, I cannot wait for this. I need to remind you people that the last good thing Alex Cox did was Sid and Nancy, which was the next film after Repo Man.
Yeah.
1985 was the last movie he made that was worth any kind of shit.
Oh, God.
And if you didn't know that, you should know that he has gone back to this well more than once already.
Yeah.
He had a movie called Repo Chick in 2009 that was so fucking god-awful. You guys all need to watch this, and then we need to sign a petition or something and say, hey, Alex.
Walk away.
This movie is a classic, and,
Let it be. There's part of a problem with the punk rock mentality that both of those movies represent is a lot of people, when you get older, you may still think you have it, but you really don't.
Yeah.
And he lost it entirely.
Not only that, but a sequel to that movie is anathema to what that movie was about.
Yes, exactly. It's like, go watch your own movie again and see if you remember what you were thinking when you wrote it.
Just this is corporate bullshit at the highest level. Is like, well, I haven't had a hit except for that big one I had 40 years ago, and now I would like to make a sequel to that. Why? Oh, I was just thinking it'd be a good time for it. Not, I'd love to make some more money off of this thing.
Oh.
Right.
Ugh, it infuriated me.
Wow. Oh, my God. I had not heard about that, and I will try to avoid it.
Did you see Repo Man?
I have not.
That one I'm not going to give you a hard enough time like we did with Evil Dead. That's a little more underground.
It's
This
one
is
of those
culty,
that,
yeah.
yeah, I've been excited about the idea of watching it eventually, but I kept mixing it up with Demolition Man for a long time, and so I thought I'd ticked it off at one point, and then I was like, no, oh my God, the movie with the awesome cover I still haven't seen.
Yeah.
So I'm
I think it's
gonna get there.
Criterion put out a really good
Really
version of it.
beautiful looking
Mhm.
version. Yeah.
Well, with that, I'd like to go into my first movie that I saw this week, which was Repo Man.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wade Chitwood came over and we drank gin and tonics and we signed the last
Yeah.
33 copies of the
Yes.
serialized novel.
Woot woot.
And then we put on Repo Man. And that movie holds up so well. It's
Yeah.
so good. It is so counterculture of the time.
Mhm.
And Emilio Estevez is so fantastic. Harry Dean Stanton is such a slimy asshole, but you end up liking him. Everybody in it is so good, and it's readily available everywhere. So
Yeah.
you can, but it should be readily available in your own collection. You shouldn't have to stream this anywhere. You should pull out your old DVD or whatever. And you said it's on Criterion now, so it's probably a lovely 4K transfer or something.
Yeah, I picked that up whenever it came out. I picked that up, and that's the last time I watched it. It's been within the last probably year and a half,
Yeah.
probably. And it looks fantastic. It looks like it should look. And you're right, it completely holds up. It completely makes sense.
Mm.
Just trying to think of a sequel that's still going on.
Vanessa, it's a story of a young white suburban punk who accidentally helps a repo man repossess a car one time, and then he gets dragged into the business, and it kind of starts turning him completely away from the punk he was, because they ask him to start dressing like a cop and all of this stuff. And the subplot is that there is this car out there that everybody wants. It's got a $20,000 repo fee on it. And it's because there's something in the trunk, and everybody. I mean, it's a nod to Kiss Me Deadly, but obviously Quentin Tarantino ripped it off for Pulp Fiction and all of this stuff. It's a really, really bizarre, surreal movie with amazing punk music throughout.
Wow, that sounds incredible, and it's really making sense. This whole corporate versus punk versus I grew up and got a mortgage and no longer have the voice that once I had.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Talk.
Something else. Everybody's homework this week should be go watch Repo Man.
Yep.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Well, something that I checked out that I think at least one other person in this room has seen, finished up True Detective Night Country.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how you guys felt about how it tied things up and how it, I'm sure there was a lot of people who were really worried about how it was going to bring everything home. I really loved it. I still really enjoy it. It might not have been perfect ending, but I think that the way the story went, it just felt, I don't know. It just felt like such a solid piece. I just love the location, love the actors, love the editing and the sound design. Just there, I really don't have any complaints about this show.
I have complaints.
Sure. I mean, you wouldn't be you if you didn't.
I wanted some answers, and it answered a lot of things in a way that I found incredibly unsatisfying.
Like the spiral.
The spiral thing, I like that being a mystery.
Yeah.
So that's fine with me. And I love the little glimpse of maybe a dinosaur in the shape of a spiral in the ice.
Weird, like sea dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
All of that stuff I loved. What I didn't like was like and spoilers, the reveal of who killed all of the scientists did not work for me at all.
Interesting.
And the corpsicle, the big thing, the episode before, 2 episodes before, with the vet coming out there and saying, these men didn't die by freezing. They died from fright. And then we're left with, nope, they did. They died from freezing. And that made zero sense to me.
Yeah.
And no real explanation for what was going on with the one-eyed polar bear. The orange coming out of the darkness. Obviously, there's something going on there, and there was nothing explained about that. And so I was left going, oh, you gave me a bunch of answers to this show, but it was not the answers that I was looking for.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
The one I would contradict of those, but which I agree with a lot of what you said, but the vet was then contradicted by the real autopsy people who said no, they died of a cold event, some kind of a
Mhm.
avalanche. They called it. I forgot.
They called it that, a
But we were-
flash freeze.
Yeah, but we were led to believe back towards, well, that doesn't make any sense because of that. But that's just the mystery of the show. In reality, that guy was right, and that is how they died. But
Yeah, I guess I had thought that that was some kind of cover up.
right, that was the implication. That's what they were. That was the red herring. They were red herring that they were throwing out to, like, oh no, it's this corporation doing a bunch of bad shit. This is where we want you to look. But that's really what it's. In the end, it was, like we said early on, a true detective. It was nothing spectacular, nothing supernatural. It was a revenge plot.
Mm.
And I can see where that felt they did so much so well for so long.
Mhm.
They needed a little bit more to lead to that,
Mhm.
to give at least some
They
hints
planted
throughout.
some seeds, but probably not quite enough seeds.
And it just hit. It came in and hit really fast
Mhm.
and resolved really quick.
Mhm.
And I don't remember, did they answer about the tongue, or was that left as a question?
That was
It was kind
who
of
knows?
it was
Okay.
one of those things where the lady was like, that wasn't us, but then it's kind of like,
Then what?
well, it might have been, because the way she said it,
Right.
it was
Yeah.
sort of
It's
like,
just a story.
Yeah.
yeah.
No answer to the very first scene of the series, which is all of the caribou running and
yes.
throwing themselves off a cliff.
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
true.
something happened that did this and chased the men out into the snow. But no, that's not what happened. And so what was that? And why is it in
Yeah.
the story?
Yeah.
Yes.
And let me just say this. I fucking love Issa Lopez. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled that she's going on to the next season. I hope it's not going to be a continuation of this show. I hope that she will continue to do a different story
folks.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I was left very unsatisfied by the events that couldn't be explained. If there had been, here's how this should have been done. Issa, I hate to tell you how to do your job,
Oh, man.
but
Oh, God.
from one writer to another, you set up all of this supernatural stuff, and then you set up all of this other stuff that kind of happens. That finale should have been, oh, it's weaved together.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is something supernatural going on, and there is something natural going on.
I think they were underneath it all. I think that's what the implication was, but it wasn't brought home I think in a satisfying enough way, like how Eric was saying, because there was this, hey, there's this ghost, or these ghosts, there's this pull into the wild, there's these unexplainable things that are just plain unexplainable, but just exist as part of this world we're in. But there's also the actual crime. And they aren't really telling you well enough, I think, that these two things are really linked. Because then we see Navarro, she goes off into the wilderness as well. And then we see her at the end, and it's like, did she? Didn't she? Is she a ghost? Is
Right.
she just hiding out and living in this house? Like, what does this mean? So there is this constant implication of the supernatural element that this village lives by, but it also isn't focusing on it. Like, why didn't anyone talk about the orange, the polar bear, or the cross that just kept coming back and coming back and coming back? So it would have been nice if that had, I don't need it explained, but I think what you're saying is correct. Like, we need to have it brought home better.
Yeah. I guess the Vitriol and Love, I sort of sit in the middle with this one, because most of the series was so goddamn good that last
Fantastic.
episode was just like, okay, I'm okay with this. I'm not thrilled with
The
this.
journey was good.
But the insane vitriol that's showing up online
I don't understand.
I almost feel like a lot of it is people that, what's the guy who's original, who's
Nick Pizzolatto
Yeah.
or something like that.
it almost feels like his troops are coming out to defend him online, because he is such an asshole, and it's been shown time and again in many different ways that he is just not a nice person. you
Yeah.
know? And there's a lot of people that love the first series. Granted, it is still the best series, I think.
Mhm.
But to pretend that this is a shit show is just
That's
wrong. It's still
crazy.
pretty
Yeah.
so fucking good in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, it sets its bar so fucking high, so much higher than most shows. Like, there's so much stuff out there that's absolute trash,
Mhm.
like waste of time, waste of energy, trash. And it's like, this does a lot of things really, really well. I don't think we need to just completely shit on it because of a few small details we can pick at. Sorry, Kelly.
No, I'm not shitting on it at all.
No, I know.
I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
I just wanted some other things. There were
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
things that made me kind of scratch my head. I mean, one scientist kills this girl, and then the other 12 just decide to go along with it. I'm like,
That was pretty
not
quick.
one person stood up and said, "Hey, you guys, this is murder."
I thought they all got in on it though because she ruined like all their research.
Well, that's just it. But do you think then all of these scientists go along with that?
The weird.
Well, they all did it though.
Yeah,
They'd
but
all go to
but
jail.
that's my
So-
point. Is they wouldn't all do
They-
it.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So there's
yeah.
I read or heard an
Gotcha.
interesting theory on that where the guy was talking about, well, this is a person that was involved telling you what happened.
Oh,
Maybe he's
interesting.
lying. But this is
Because
his,
he does lie to you even in that image.
Yeah, they don't go back and figure it out and see whether
That's a
he's
good
telling the
point.
truth or not. So maybe he was
Yeah.
just trying to make him, because he didn't mention, even though in the video they did show him strangling her.
Yeah, he said,
He
of
didn't say
course I
that.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
He said he didn't kill her.
Yeah.
So his narrative is flawed.
Yeah.
So that
I like that. I wonder how deep that penetrates into the different characters that we're watching
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
I wonder if that's like a theme.
Everybody's full of shit. Everybody
Yeah.
lies, which would fit the tone of the show in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of complicated and
Yeah.
different.
I think my last kind of grumble was Jodie Foster solving the crime and bringing nobody to justice, even though she was clearly a compromised officer herself.
Mhm.
I felt like the crime seemed so important to her to have finally found out who did it and not bring anyone to justice. Didn't sit with the character that they had written prior to it. But all of these are tiny, little tiny complaints I have. I at the end of the show, I was like, okay, that was really good. It's certainly better than season 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Good Lord,
And I do apologize. I think last time we talked about this, I kept calling it season 3. I did not know there was a season 3. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize this is season 4.
Yeah.
I think
That's
season
my
3
bad.
was one of those 2 or 3 episodes and I'm done.
I have to wonder, this was called True Detective Night Country. None of the other ones had a
that's right.
subtitle.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if this was a different show that HBO said we could get more eyes on this if we slap True Detective in front of
Oh,
Interesting.
the show that you want to tell.
Huh.
yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense. That's really, really fascinating.
All right. Well, as usual, let me left turn us here to this to the extreme different area of the world. And at midnight, I'll take your soul
Oh, God. Okay.
from good old Coffin Joe out of Brazil.
Okay.
Are any of
That
you
guy.
familiar with Coffin Joe?
No.
I know the name.
Yeah, he's kind of he's Brazil's answer to Vincent Price
Oh.
or Peter Cushing, something like that, where he's got a large series of films he did as this character, and the Arrow just put out a lavish box set, like 12 movies or something like that.
Mm.
And I'd always been curious about it. I picked it up, watched the first one. It's pretty goddamn good.
Oh.
It's weird. It's from I think the mid '60s, so it's surprisingly brutal at times.
Mhm.
And he is a rebellious character. He operates a funeral home basically, but he's an asshole, and he's scared. Everybody in town is scared of him and they like him, and he beats the shit out of people kind of regularly, and he's completely anti-religious. So religious themes play big into his reckoning at the end, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. I've got to watch the rest of this because this is an interesting character whose reputation is well deserved in the world of weird ass movies.
At midnight, I'll take your soul. So this is not streaming.
Well, it might be on Arrow.
Okay.
Arrow streaming service, probably. I would think
Okay.
it would be actually. But yeah, because it's just fairly new release, and but beautiful box set, really well done. Except for one really weird thing they do. Every disc has 2 movies, and it has a reversible cover, but every cover is only one of the films.
Oh,
So you can't like just look at the spines or something and see the 2 movies that are on it. You can only see one of the movies, and then you got to open it up or read the back. It's like, what's the other one on this one? Like,
Oh,
weird choice, guys. Could have
oh,
done a little bit more to make it easier to find the ones I want to watch.
oh.
But other than that, usual great job by Arrow.
Huh.
nice.
Nice.
I saw a new movie. I didn't just see a movie from 1984. I saw a movie from this year
Whoa.
called No Way Up.
No way up.
This is about a jet plane that crashes in the middle of the ocean and then sinks to the bottom, and it's got a hole in it, and there are only a couple of survivors trying to stay alive, and there are sharks.
I saw the trailer for this one.
Yes.
There are sharks outside the window, and then there are sharks inside the plane. This movie is really dumb. Because not only that, they're running out of air. They have these rescue divers who show up, and they're all excited, and then they see a shark behind him, and they're like, through the window, telling him to look around, and he looks around, the shark's gone, and then of course it comes off screen and grabs him. But also the plane is sitting on the edge of an underwater ravine, and it's slowly starting to slide down.
Yeah, dude.
So they're running out of time that way too. I had a really good time with this. I would have liked it more if the sharks were a bigger part of it, but this should have been called Airport 24 or something like that, right? I mean, it felt very much in the vein of the airport movies.
No.
And I don't know. I just really liked it. It is a rental right now, but it's a cheap rental. No Way Up.
They didn't call it Sharks on a Plane?
Oh, what the heck?
That is a missed
Get these
opportunity.
motherfucking sharks.
This motherfucking plane. Oh my God, that would have been so much better than the title. So I've been watching just such a weird slew of films. Like I've probably seen 15 or 20 films since last we talked because I have weird hours because I have an infant who needs constant monitoring. And because my mom is helping out quite a bit and coming over regularly, we're trying to find mom-approved material to throw on when she is there. And thus, I watched a movie I was sure I would never watch, Wonka.
Now, is this the new one?
Yeah.
Musical?
Yes.
Okay.
The musical Wonka. Did either of you guys see this?
No.
Okay. Did you think it looked like absolute trash can fire?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I have no interest in it.
I also had no interest. It is lovely.
Is it?
It is a fucking lovely film. I was like so ready to just be like, this film sucks and is crap, and Timothy Chalamet and like singing, and it's all like a big cash cow. But it's done by the Paddington person, and
Oh.
much like Paddington, it has so much heart and so much love and so much effort put in and so much care to the world of Willy Wonka that like you end up finding yourself like singing the songs and thinking about like where all this goes, and it's not hinged specifically on like this is setting up how he gets here and this is setting up how this thing happens. There's a little bit of that, but they never call it out. Like the fountain of the river of chocolate has kind of a little bit of a this maybe came from here, and how his relationship with the Oompa Loompas occurs, like that gets set up. But they never are like, and I'm gonna have you guys be a part of my future factory, and I'm gonna have blah blah blah. It's much more based on it. It's got a totally original story, and it's a kids movie. But God, it was so good. It was so good.
Is this streaming somewhere?
Yeah. You know what? How is it streaming? How did I see this? I think it's a paid rental on Amazon. Is how I ended up watching it.
Well, you're not alone in loving it. It's got an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Does it really?
Wow.
Oh, that's
God.
shocking to me. I thought it looked awful.
Awful, absolutely awful. But if anybody out there has watched the Paddington movies and loves them the way I do, oh my God, it's right in that same. You can tell it's the same creative brain.
There was one blip on my thinking of it because SIF chose that to
It's the opening film.
Yeah, for their
Oh.
new version of the Cinerama.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, maybe it is better. And I thought, or maybe it's just the movie they had available at that time that was the biggest thing that they could put on.
That's what I thought too. I was like, oh, that's a weird, lame choice. And I went out of my way not to see it that way. So yeah, I will say if you end up watching it, it's, I don't know, it warmed my heart.
Nice.
I've got I don't know why, I've got a dislike of Timothy Chalamet. I don't think that he is a very good actor, and I find it hard to watch him.
We all have at least one.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. I also watched a fairly recent one, 2023 Divinity.
Divinity.
No.
This one, okay. This is from Eddie Alcazar. Yeah, no.
I don't know the name.
It is I'd probably call it an art house leaning sort of movie, with the idea is it's in the future and a guy has invented a drug that I'm trying to remember if it lets you live forever or helps you live healthy for a very, very, very long time. So this guy's insanely wealthy, and a few people break in to destroy his creation because he's the only person that can make whatever this is. So they want to destroy his creation, and they like start pumping him with the stuff, and he's like turns into this Hulk kind of thing. It's all a black and white movie.
Oh my God.
It's really interesting. Surprising because this is Vinegar Syndrome is really starting to branch out their stuff. Kind of like they did Censor a couple years ago, and now they started a version of Criterion films where they're releasing higher end, and they released this one. So it's got phenomenal treatment. It looks gorgeous. It's really, really interesting. If you're into weird and strange films, you'll definitely want to see this one because it is very weird and very strange.
It's called Divinity, and I assume you bought it.
Yeah.
So we don't know if it's streaming.
It is out for rent on Amazon and I think Apple.
And it's black and white, but done as a not as an art house thing. This is something, some kind of stylistic choice because it's a period piece, or
I'm not sure. I think it's more of a future vase kind of thing, and it's got stop motion at one point in the movie, which is wildly well used. Definitely, I mean, it's definitely art house leaning, but it kept showing up in 2023 on horror lists, and is one I really wanted to watch for our end of year segment, but it didn't actually get released until this year on video, or it was only in theaters in 2023, or more likely festivals. But so as soon as it showed up, I was like, I gotta see this one. And it was worth it if you've got that mindset. If you go, ooh, Jodorowsky, I'll watch that. Come on down. You're going to enjoy this.
Wow, Divinity. I'm going to look that one up. While I do that, why don't we take a little break? And then when we come back, we are doing our very last Fangruary episode.
Yay.
Cobra makes my blood boil. They're fighting back with that new Cobra Bang.
Cobra!
Cobra Bang's a jet flying past it low, and a fighting cops are out hunting for Joe. There's Destro's Razorback. Razor sharp and Hawes wild. When Destro's Razorback gets Joe in sight, it rises up and starts to fight. But nobody beats G.I. Joe, a real American hero.
Now look for G.I. Joe face camouflage, free in specially marked packages.
Yo, Joe!
And we're back. Eric, this was Fangruary still, but you had a lovely idea of changing this so we weren't talking about vampires again. You want to tell us about it?
Anything's with fangs.
Yeah.
Creatures, weird ones, big fangs, little fangs, whatever.
I love it. And
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
I almost accidentally watched a vampire film. I was like, oh, this sounds like a neat film. Watch the trailer. Nope.
I'm going to put 10 minutes on the buzzer then, Eric, and you can tell us about your movie.
All right. Okay, this was actually a revisit to something I did see in the theaters originally. Mimic.
The Strickler's disease came to New York like a thief in the night. It was deadly, threatening to steal an entire generation of our children from before our eyes.
Since it has proven to be virtually immune to chemical control, we had to find a new avenue of attack. We recombined DNA to create a biological counteragent. We call it the Judas breed.
Now, the cure they created has taken on a life of its own.
So you think your little Frankenstein's got the better of you?
They all died in the lab.
But you let them out. Evolution is a way of keeping things alive.
Sometimes an insect will evolve to mimic its predator. A fly can look like a spider. A caterpillar can look like a snake. They are breeding.
Whatever it becomes, it destroys.
Peter, these are lungs.
Yesterday, it became human.
If that thing has been around, how come nobody's ever seen it?
I think we have.
You see the size of that thing?
We changed its DNA.
Mira Sorvino, Jeremy Northam, Josh Brolin, Charles Dutton, Giancarlo Giannini, F. Murray Abraham. Mimic.
Oh.
Del Toro's second or his first major Hollywood film. And this is called the director's cut. Differences are kind of minimal, but that's all right. Anyways, this came out in 1997. This might be one of the highest rated ones I've done in a long time. 65 by the critics, 37 by the crowd.
Wow.
Which a little low. But to be fair, I didn't think much of it at all either when I first saw it.
Yeah.
So $30 million budget, $25.5 million box office.
Ouch.
Directed by Guillermo del Toro. You know, Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, Kronos.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks interesting. He's currently working on an untitled Michael Mann, George Miller, Ridley Scott production.
Whoa.
I'm assuming maybe it's like either a wild anthology or some kind of a documentary. But there's no details on whatever that is.
I will watch it.
Yeah, no shit. Written by Donald A. Wilhelm, who basically wrote the Mimic movies. There's been a couple sequels and stuff. Matthew Robbins, who's known for Crimson Peak, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and Batteries Not Included. For you 80s kids out there.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Guillermo del Toro was involved with it. 52 episodes of Troll Hunters and 46 episodes of The Stain. And, of course, the Hobbit movies. Starring Mira Sorvino from Mighty Aphrodite, The Replacement Killers, Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, The It Girl for about 3 years in the late 90s. Jeremy Northam from Gosford Park, Cypher, Emma, 11 episodes of The Crown. This has a hell of a cast, by the way. Alexander Goodwin, Charles Dutton, Josh Brolin, F. Murray Abrahams, Norman Reedus.
Crap.
Holy cow.
So, very young Norman Reedus. It's like, whoa. But it's very weird. I picked this up on disc because it's one of the few ways you can watch the director's cut, apparently. It's like less than $10 on Amazon. But I put it in, and it's like, oh, I'm in the 90s again. Trailers, ads, all this shit before it gets to the menu. Like, oh, this is annoying. But the storyline is in New York City, there's a deadly disease called Strickler's disease that's killing hundreds of children. They've been able to come up with no cure. So in comes Susan Tyler, played by Mira, who has created a bug that secretes an enzyme that accelerates cockroaches' metabolism to run faster than they can eat. So they starve to death.
Okay.
She does have a moment of worrying. Have they bred some new dangerous critter? I'm sure they haven't. It's only a 13-minute movie. 3 years later, see some guy running around being attacked by a giant bug. But they find a group of, because of this murder, he falls off a tower and then is pulled under sewers, kind of like something out of It.
Mm.
They do find a underground area where there's a bunch of children being kept and people in squalor. So they quarantine the whole area. This storyline, nothing really is done with it. I'm not sure. It's very dramatic looking, but okay, let's move on from that. Now we're getting the scenes where the doctor gets to talk to these two kids who find bugs and sell her bug parts.
Mm.
Okay. But she gets to tell her why she loves bugs and why she thinks bugs are so cool. Okay, that's fine. But they do find this very strange one. She realizes this is my bug. You're supposed to have a suicide gene that killed them all in the lab. But hey, like we learned at Jurassic Park, nature finds a way.
Mm.
So not only did it find a way, it developed these giant bugs that are 6 feet tall and able to mimic people.
Ugh.
Hence the title.
Not particularly well, but they kind of churn their wings into stuff that looks like somebody's wearing an overcoat and a
Right.
hat.
Excellent.
Be honest, the bugs when they unfurl are fucking cool.
Mm.
The creature effects in this are really well done, so that helps. But Del Toro does his thing where he kills off those kids, kills those two kids. Like, screw you, kids, you're out. So the investigation moves forward. Everyone trying to explain. The movie it's longer than I think. It's like over 2 hours almost. And the second half is pretty much just them getting stuck in the sewer trying to get away from the bugs. It's fun. It's good adventure. Not a lot is going on. Will she escape? Will her husband get lost with a cop in the underground? Will the boy be found? The boy who mimics the mimics
Oh, right.
with the
I
little
forgot.
spoons. He's I don't know.
He's mute, so
Yeah.
he speaks in spoon clicks.
Yep. So when he hears somebody walking, he imitates their clicks. So when he hears the bug shuffling, he's like, weird shoes. He talks a little bit. He says like weird shoes and mimics them with his spoons. And then he, of course, disappears underground and dad goes looking for him. In the setup for the scene of the dad looking, he's like, oh, wow, Del Toro, you kind of missed the boat with that, where there's this music, huge, dramatic music of the uncle or whatever going to look for him in a scene that is not drama filling at all. It's just him calling out the window and crawling to the sewers to start looking. But the music is like, I feel like this should be the end of the movie.
Oh my gosh.
But so Del Toro was not granted final cut on this film. He did tentatively basically give his approval of it on release. In 2010, he revealed that he'd been working on a director's cut. And he said, it's not exactly the movie I wanted to do, but it definitely healed many wounds. I'm happy with the cut. It's 6 minutes longer. The details of what's longer are not great online. It's not a lot that's longer. It's just simple scenes. There's not anything like the Blade Runner director's cuts or alternate cuts where you see entirely different scenes and things are altered greatly. It didn't feel like that was done. Apparently, a huge portion of the director's cut was altering color correction to either make it more downward feeling or to make it more adventure feeling on different scenes. It looks great. So, that's nice. In the movie itself, this is in both cuts. There's pretty much some really good alien style moments with people getting chased and trying to figure out what's after them before they've figured that there's these giant bugs. There's parts where the husband and the cop just wander down and down and down and down and then get lost. Like, okay, maybe you should have figured out a way to know how to get back. But the guy did not, and the cop was lost or fell down. The opening logo was changed from Dimension to Miramax, which maybe Del Toro might want to go back and change that again. A large portion of the problem was, though, that I think it's his brother, Miramax. What's his name? The guy in jail's brother. This is one of his early films, so he spent a lot of time interfering, saying,
Bob Weinstein.
yeah, you need more explosions here, and you need to do this. And there are some weird explosions that feel completely not Del Toro. And there's some really, there's a huge explosion at the end. It's like, I mean, it works for the story, but it's like, that's weird. Sound was altered a little bit as well, mainly in the underground scenes. But there's no budget to go back and reshoot anything. And obviously the actors are at that point 10, 15 years removed from the original shooting date. So would have been a little tougher to do that in 2011. But overall, I did enjoy the film a lot more than I did on the initial release. And that's probably because in my mind it had been downgraded to like the worst thing Del Toro's ever made. And I don't know. I'm cynically kind of shoot. That's more like some of his Hobbit work. I
Yeah.
was really disappointed in those. If they came out before The Lord of the Rings, maybe it would have been different. But after The Lord of the Rings, man, those were overall rough.
Well, it certainly didn't need to be a trilogy of films.
Yeah, that did not help.
I don't remember liking this either. I saw this in the theater, and I remember we were both pretty psyched about this because we love Devil's Backbone so much.
Yeah.
Did we see this in the theater together?
Might have.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything Dina would want. He's like, well, I'm good. Giant bugs, have fun.
I remember thinking the idea of the bugs looking like they were wearing overcoats was pretty dang cool.
It looked cool.
But overall, because I tried to watch this about 5 years ago and I didn't make it through a second watch. I was like, boy, I remember not liking this, but I don't remember it being this slow.
I think it should have been like, I think it's Blade Runner is notorious for being, the director's cut being shorter than the original. I think it would have been okay being shorter. There are so many early scenes that don't mean very little. Like there's a strange scene where she might be pregnant. She might not be pregnant. And I was expecting, and I think they have a line later on that says, oh no, that test was positive. I'm like, this is dumb. You need this out of it. That could have been easily removed from the movie because it added nothing.
Was she pregnant with a bug child or?
No, real kid.
Oh.
It was her and her husband talking about it. She
boring.
Did a test.
Sorry, Vanessa.
Their relationship was plenty good. They didn't need that. It didn't add anything, and it didn't pay off in any way. So I was like, you could have cut that. But performances are good. The actors are good. It looks good, but it's just better than original. But it's fine.
You can't win them all, and Del Toro has certainly done a lot of really great stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Some of the great movies.
Vanessa, you want to go?
Sure. I'd be happy to go.
10 minutes on the buzzer.
All right.
Hey, come back in the room.
I'm here. So I went with the film kind of almost randomly. I just had heard about it here and there, just the title, and then I finally watched a trailer and I was like, what the fuck is this? So I watched the 1984 film In the Company of Wolves.
A young girl feels her soul awaken to the call of emotions she cannot name. This is the Twilight World, where half-forgotten memories of childhood lead into a fantastic realm.
Was it a wolf or a man you killed?
When I killed it, it was a wolf. It turned into a man.
Here, dreams become reality, and our darkest fantasies come true.
The worst kind of wolves are hairy on the inside, and when they bite you, they drag you with them to hell.
Where's my daughter? Where did you come with my daughter?
She ran away!
No! They say the Prince of Darkness is a gentleman.
Gentlemen always keep their promises.
What have you done with my granddaughter?
Nothing she didn't want.
The Company of Wolves, where fairy tales end and nightmares begin. The Company of Wolves.
Which I think a lot of people have seen.
Yeah.
Very good.
Man, Yes. Okay. So yeah, a lot of people agree with you. 86% on Rotten Tomatoes for critics and 73% from audience.
Nice.
The budget was 2.3 million and box office was 4.3 million. And this was directed by Neil Jordan, who has 25 directing credits to his name. He did Interview with a Vampire, but also was a writer director on Greta, which is a very unsettling movie, The Crying Game, and Michael Collins.
Wow.
Writing credits are shared with Angela Carter, who has 5 credits to her name. She's a relative unknown who worked closely with him on the script. She'd also done Magic Toy Shop and an episode of Scary Stories Around the Fire. But this movie is primarily based off of her short story collection, The Bloody Chamber. Also credited is Charles Perrault. He lived from 1628 to 1703 and is responsible for Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay.
So way to go, IMDb. He's still slaying it out there. Starring Sarah Patterson, only 4 credits to her name. She did this, Snow White, the 1987 version, Do I Love You, and TikTok Lullaby. More well-known, though, is Angela Lansbury. 122 credits to her name, Manchurian Candidate, Beauty and the Beast, or Murder, She Wrote. And also at some point, I just decided I hated and was fearful of Angela Lansbury in college. And so this does not help. There's just, you can tell she's up to something. I'm just saying.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious. Another leading actor in this, David Warner, plays the father. He has 237 credits to his name. He's a well-known UK actor. He was in Star Trek 4, Star Trek 5. He was in The Mouth of Madness, Tron, Waxwork, lots of various Doctor Who credits. Let me just give you the IMDb description of this movie, because this movie is really hard to describe. A teenage girl in a country manor falls asleep while reading a magazine and has a disturbing dream involving wolves. That's kind of the movie.
Sure.
So we're following Rosaline, who dreams that she lives in a fairy tale forest in the late 18th century with her parents, who are mourning her in real life. Very asshole sister. So shockingly, in her dream, she's dead. She goes to visit her grandmother, who has knit her this, her grandmother, who's played by Angela Lansbury, who's knit her this bright red shawl to wear. And her grandmother is superstitious and gives her an ominous warning saying, never stray from the path, never eat a windfall apple, and never trust a man whose eyebrows meet. The film follows in several vignettes different fairy tales that are kind of vaguely, I mean, they feel fairy tale-ish, but they're sort of twisted tales. And they showcase people not heeding these warnings. And of course, we then see Rosaline straying from the path. And then there's some side plot about her being wooed by a village boy. She finds herself in the forest with a man who's not quite a man. I think that's actually her story and not another vignette, but it's hard to say. And maybe she's not what she appears to be either. This is a weird movie. You don't need to worry about the plot. You just fucking don't. Here are some things you can look forward to while watching this movie. Giant toy chases, slow-mo milk pail with floating head, hedgehogs in the bed, storybook version of Angela Lansbury with like the giant like bonnet and everything, a wolf pack played by German shepherds, a mongoose that's a puppet, parents having sex in the same room as their kid, because 18th century, so no space, Rolls Royce in 1300s Europe, friendly ceiling tarantulas that you can just pick up with your hand and put outside because, yeah, that's how we live. Babies born out of stork eggs, and I mean babies that are about 3 inches big. Fancy French people at a dinner party who transform into wolves in little outfits and wigs. Karate chop Angela Lansbury's head off, which breaks into porcelain with a wig that falls off. Gross tongues and full wolf out of man transformation. That is just a few. That is the tip of the. Every minute you're watching this movie, you're like, what the actual fuck am I looking at right now? This is the craziest film. It has a beautiful, insane set design. The way they do their werewolf transformation with the guys, which are all dudes who have unibrows, which only supports my dislike of unibrows. I'm like, fuck yes, do not trust those mofos. Pluck it or get the fuck out of here. But the wolf transformation is like the entire wolf head comes out of the mouth and then like the skin gets like ripped off. It's incredible. The acting is so over the top. It's unreal. This is definitely one of the most unique films I've ever watched. A little bit of trivia. We've got some fun taglines, including within the forests are strangers lying in wait for innocence who stray from the path. Also, where fairy tales meet horror stories. And my favorite, a furry tale for grown-ups.
What?
I don't know where that tagline was used, but I'm sure it was very effective. Due to budgetary constraints and fears about safety, most of the wolves in the movie are actually Belgian shepherd dogs whose furmen died. Just so you know, guys, it's very obvious. I'm sorry. It's very clear these are just dogs. For some of the close-up shots with Rosaline interacting with the wolves towards the end of the movie, a real wolf was used. During the entirety of production, only 2 real wolves are used. Stanley Kubrick was so impressed by the production design of this movie that he hired Anton Furst, the designer, to do the production design for his next project, Full Metal Jacket. Production designer Anton Furst cited the work of European artist Salvador Dali and Gustave Doré as influences for his work in this movie. Writer and director Neil Jordan had wanted Andy Warhol to play the role of the devil, who's also in this movie somewhere. Producer Stephen Woolley traveled to New York City to meet Warhol, who had recently been shot, and Warhol agreed to do this movie. However, fearing for his life if he traveled, he would only play the role if the scenes were shot in New York City. This was impossible, so Jordan cast his friend Terrence Stamp for the role. Stamp agreed to do the role if Jordan bought him a suit, which he did, much to Stamp's amusement. During the shooting of the scene where the duck is used to bait and lure a wolf, a real wolf was used. However, when shooting the scene, as the wolf approached the hole, the duck quacked and the wolf ran away and refused to go near the hole again. The scene then had to be shot with another wolf the next day. And last but not least, director Neil Jordan cast Dame Angela Lansbury on the basis of her performance in The Manchurian Candidate. I'm telling you, she's fucking shifty. She had an air of sinister charm that was perfect for the role of Granny.
Wow.
I like this movie quite a bit. That that nobleman turning into wolves at the feast is probably my favorite scene.
Yeah.
The transformations are really incredible.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. What was up with this era of movies and insane wolf transformations?
Well, Howling and
American Werewolf and this. The air bladders under the skin became the big thing.
Yeah. Incredible.
I just watched this for the first time, I think, a couple of years ago. I'm pretty sure I didn't do it as a subject, but I think I mentioned it on this show.
We've talked about it before.
Because when you're going, when we've run into one we've already talked about before, you hit the trivia or some go, oh, I know. Why do I know all of this?
Right.
I did not have that feeling listening to you talk about it. Specifically, one of the actors going, he was in what? God damn, I would have remembered that. So, but it is thinking about the film though, a year or two later. There's no concept in my head of a story. Just a whole bunch of weird shit going on.
Yeah, like the trailer for it on, I think I watched it on Shudder. It's literally just a scene of her running through the woods for like 3 minutes and looking over her shoulder and seeing the dogs slowly chase after her. And there's just like mushrooms and trees and like everything's so detailed and so sinister, but also authentic feeling that it feels like you're walking through like a real life fairy tale. And it's just, and how horrible that would really be. But also like, why the fuck am I staring at a girl running through the woods for fucking 3 minutes? So
yeah, well, that'll make for an interesting insert in the episode then.
Really gorgeous photography on this. Remind me, is there at the scene at the end, does the wolf pack like break into the house and come running up the stairs or something like that?
They break through. I think there's like some breaking through the windows, but then like spoilers, she turns into a wolf. And so like the townsfolk are chasing her, and I think she goes through the house and the mother stops them from doing that. So she's running around in the yeah.
This might be a good one to just put on in the background
Yes.
sometimes when
Oh man,
If you
it's
have
a
a
party
party-
movie. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a perfect party movie.
Unless everybody's on mushrooms, then they might, throw your TV against the wall and just stop it.
You
Why
gotta-
the unibrows? Why the unibrows?
You got to be careful with those party movies because if they're too interesting, then everybody stops and they start watching and they're like, "What is this?" And you're like, "No, it's just background."
It's Atmos. Don't worry
That's what
about
Pitch
it.
Black was made for. Don't you know that?
Okay, I'm gonna put 10 minutes on the buzzer. Good selection, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about a movie called Man's Best Friend.
I want people to really see what's going on in here. Oh, this is so cool.
Exactly what kind of work do you do here? I do genetic research.
Is this dog an innocent victim of the billion-dollar vivisection industry? And this
I can't believe how attached he's become to me already.
I want Max back. We're not talking about a street mutt here. We are talking about $1 million research animal.
Thank you, Max. Sweet.
See, Max is not your typical dog. He's a genetic crossbreed. Enhanced sight, hearing, strength, stamina, the ability to climb with jaguar-like agility. What I am trying to tell you is that in the right hands, Max can save thousands of lives. In the wrong hands, he can be a deadly weapon.
We're in big trouble.
He's coming apart. He is gonna see.
Man's best friend.
Ooh.
1993, budget of $6 million, box office of worldwide $13 million. Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 21%, and the audience has it at 43%. It was written and directed by John Lafia, who has 18 directing credits. I will say one of his writing credits is he is one of the writers of the original Child's Play.
Oh.
And he is the director of Child's Play 2, Corpse Killer, and The Rats. It stars Ali Sheedy, who has 97 credits, including War Games, The Breakfast Club, and Short Circuit. It also stars Lance Henriksen, who has 269 credits, including Damien, Omen 2, Aliens, Near Dark, Pumpkinhead, Hard Target, The Quick and the Dead. We all love Lance here.
Mm-hmm.
I believe at one point we took a glance at Lance.
A glance at land.
Yes, we did.
It also stars Robert Costanzo, 295 credits. He was in The Star Chamber, Eric. He was in Total Recall, and he was the voice of Harvey Bullock on Batman, the animated series.
Nice.
Cool.
Have you guys seen Man's Best Friend?
I do not know.
I believe so, but it's been a little while. This looks like a fun rental.
Well, spoiler, it is not.
Oh, God.
We are introduced to our protagonist, Lori Tanner, who is a television reporter lamenting the fact that she has no good stories to propel her career to bigger and better things. But just then, she gets a call from a woman working at an animal testing laboratory who wants to be a whistleblower type of person, and she tells Lori she can let her into the facility later that night if she promises to spread the word about what this facility is doing. Lori says, absolutely, this is exactly what I'm looking for, and they make plans for her to show up. But right after the whistleblower hangs up, we see through the POV of something in the lab that is moving through the corridors and then savagely attacks and kills her, the woman that just made the phone call. Enter Lance Henriksen, also known as Dr. Jarrett, who is the owner and head scientist of the lab, and he sedates whatever this strange creature was. So that night, Lori and her camerawoman show up, but there's no one there to let them in. So they manage to break in and sneak around and start filming all sorts of animals in their cages. And some of this stuff, I have to admit, looked pretty horrific. Open wounds and brains exposed and stuff like that. But one of the animals is a Tibetan Mastiff named Max, just a really beautiful looking dog. And this one has the coloring of like a St. Bernard or Bernese Mountain Dog, just a beautiful black, brown, and white combination. And they let the dog out and they all escape just as Jarrett shows up.
Who let the dog out?
Ooh.
Sorry. Please continue on your glorious Loved film.
Jarrett immediately has the police show up and reports that his dog has been stolen and that it is a very, very important scientific experiment. Spliced with the DNA of various other animals, such as big cats, snakes, chameleons, and birds of prey, giving him enhanced strength, speed, and senses. Max is also prone to violent rages.
Oh, God.
And Jared regularly gives him a drug to keep him relaxed, but he fears that the effects of the drug will soon wear off.
Oh, my God.
Now, Lori is unsure what to do about this gigantic dog in her backseat, but luckily a mugger shows up and steals her purse and runs away. But Max, he goes after the mugger and retrieves the purse, and he and Lori make a powerful bond. She's like, "You're my best friend." That might have been different if Lori knew that Max had brutally killed the mugger just around the corner, but oh well. So she brings home Max, much to the chagrin of her boyfriend, who does not like the dog, and the feeling is obviously mutual. He insists that Max has to stay in the backyard, but unbeknownst to him, but knownst to us, Max actually understands human language. So Max acts loyal, obedient, and lovable to Lori, but he is a real fucking asshole when she is not around. At various points in this story, Max scares a paperboy, devours a cat, and a shitty parakeet. Chews through the brake lines in Perry's car. Perry is the boyfriend. And he kills a mailman. In addition, we get a scene where the neighbor's collie, which is a really beautiful dog, sees Max across the street. And when their eyes meet, there are definitely doggy fireworks.
Oh, God.
And Max breaks into the house and finds the collie waiting seductively for him on the bed in the upstairs bedroom. You guys, I shit you not. We get a long shot of the house and howling sounds accompanied by some groovy lovemaking music.
Oh, no. No.
21% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Shocking.
Clearly, you did not watch the same movie I watched. Realizing that her boyfriend and Max will never get along, she rehomes Max at a junkyard with a friendly old man who assures her he'll be taken to a lovely ranch the next day.
Uh-huh.
But when she leaves, this dude chains Max to a wall and beats him with a shovel. When Max breaks free and attacks the man, the dude burns the dog's face with a blowtorch before he is overpowered and killed. But now, Max is mad, and he's gonna get his revenge on Lori.
Uh-oh.
Will Lori's boyfriend get his face burned off by Max's acidic dog urine?
Oh, my God.
Will Dr. Jarrett show up and kidnap Lori in order to lure Max back to the facility?
Sure.
I don't know. Do you?
And 3 months later, will the neighbor's collie give birth to a litter of beautiful collies, except for one black mastiff puppy that's already growling?
Oh, Jesus.
Holy cow. This movie was so bad, you guys. And I'll tell you why. This was my fault. I was tricked. This was not the movie I was expecting. If you have ever seen the poster for this movie, it has Lance Henriksen pointing a pistol with a laser sight on it. Yeah. And the entire background is a growling dog's face, but half of that face is a fucking Terminator robot dog with red eye and everything.
Sure.
I was hoping to get a cyborg dog movie, and that is not what this is at all.
Oh, no.
So that's on me, I guess.
Lies.
What animal did they fuse it with that gave it acidic urine?
I'm going to guess that's the rattlesnake poison in its veins or something. I don't know.
Jesus.
Taglines. Say come and he's there. Say fetch and he has it. Say sick him and all hell breaks loose.
Oh, my God.
I actually like this one. Nature created him. Science perfected him. But no one could control him. Which I think is the same tagline as The Lawnmower Man or something like that,
Sounds
right?
familiar, yeah, some version of it.
I don't know. Trivia. Ali Sheedy was nominated for a Saturn Award for Best Actress for this film.
Wow.
Well, somebody liked it, I guess.
The scene where Max chases the cat up a tree and swallows it was done in cuts. The dog and cat had been trained together. In the chase down the street, there was always approximately 15 feet between them. The cat was running to a toy with food as a reward. The dog was running to visual and hand cues, also with food as a reward. When the cat climbs a tree to escape, he again is running after a toy. Trick photography was used where it appears that Max is also climbing the tree. Actually, Max was crawling on a level log. A
Mhm.
fake dog head was used when it appears that Max has the cat in his mouth.
Oh my God.
The cat had walked in the back end of the fake dog head and out through the mouth. And when the cat appears to be swallowed by the dog, it was a trainer off camera pulling the cat backwards through the mouth of the fake dog head.
Oh my God. They really thought that through.
Yeah. All the rest of the
Hilarious.
trivia I could find was just like that. It was how they had done the various stunts, and it sounds like they went to all lengths to make sure no animals were harmed in the making of this film, although several primates were harmed watching this horrible flick. I guarantee it.
Oh no.
That was my movie,
Woof.
Man's Best Friend. It sucked.
Nice.
Still better than another vampire film.
Yeah,
Sure,
agreed.
yeah.
It's just the novelty that's so refreshing.
That's right.
Yeah. I was so bummed. I was really hoping that, at some point we were going to see underneath his skin was a robot dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
So,
kidding. That's weird.
and then does he play the scientist or the boyfriend?
He plays a scientist, and he's
Okay.
a bad guy in this. But on the cover, it looks almost like he's a cop hunting
Yeah.
this down or something. This is just a movie that I'd always missed and then seen the cover for, and everyone told me it was horrible. But I was like, how can it be horrible with that Terminator dog in it? And I'm here to tell you guys, you don't have to see this movie.
It's no airplane shark film.
It is not. I mean, I will say this. It kept my entertainment or my attention,
Sure.
and I was entertained. And some of the lines were ridiculous when he is talking about, how the dog is spliced with rattlesnakes and birds of prey. And I was like, oh my God, is he going to fly at some point? How is this going to happen? And the scene where Max breaks into the house and has sweet, sweet doggy love. I'm going to assume they just call it style since that's how they do it. But that had me laughing. I literally said out loud, who fucking greenlit this script? This is insanity.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, that means it is my topic for the next one,
Yeah.
you guys. And
If
I
it's
decided
vampires, I'm gonna fucking flip this
shit.
table.
Okay, then instead of vampires, how about we
Yeah.
do like haunted places, which I guess is basically me saying ghosts again.
Sure.
But you can couch it in wherever this ghost is at.
So is this haunted places, or can it also be haunted people?
It can be haunted by anything. Let's
Okay.
call it haunted.
Haunted. All right. That sounds
Alright.
doable.
Haunted by their past, even.
Whoa, that opens up a lot.
Oh, no.
Painful. Okay, this is the part then where I say thank you to everybody who's liking and sharing posts, who's out there on the Strange Eons Radio Talk page. I'm really enjoying that, and it's just about the only reason I go on Facebook anymore.
Same. Hard same.
Big thanks to Danny Williford and Ron and Bob and everybody who's always
Ryan,
yeah, who's always out there racing to get the release post first and stuff like that. I still love seeing that kind of stuff. And everybody, of course, who's throwing donations our way, which you can do on our website page. You can go to the Buy Us a Pizza. You can go to the PayPal subscription service, which a couple of people are doing, and that is really, really nice. And you can just send money randomly. We love all of that. It's called Value for Value.
Find an envelope, see how much you can put in it.
Yeah, we'll take cash. Hell, we'll take loose change.
That's right.
Bad checks.
Couple quarters.
Also, if you want to, you can call and leave us a message at 253-237-4266 and tell us how happy you are we didn't talk about vampires.
I might have called that line.
I just want to say one last big thank you to everyone who bought into the serialized novel subscription. I know that there were a couple of you that came right from the show and did that, and I really, really appreciate it. Everybody's stuff has been mailed out by now, so everybody should have their copies. And thank you so much for coming along on this weird ride with me.
And you're going to tell us when the complete edition comes out, right?
Complete edition comes out on June 25th.
Oh my gosh.
We'll be talking about that when it gets closer to that date.
Fantastic.
So, all right, guys. Thanks so much for doing this. This was so nice to record in person again. Marth, we love you. Get well.
That's right. Get well.
Get better.
And we'll be back in 7 short days. We're talking haunted. See you next Thursday. Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
I kept mixing it up with Demolition Man for a long time.